Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to your own Silicon Valley Tech Talks show, your go to place to learn about technology trends and insights directly from the leaders. This is your host, Faisal Vatu from San Jose, California. In today's show, we are going to talk about some interesting topics and industry news around GenAI. We'll learn about some underhyped and overhyped topics around GenAI and impact of some of the recent industry developments such as OpenAI funding and Google AntiTrust ruling. We are fortunate to have Howie Xu as our guest today. Howie is Chief AI Officer at a Fortune 500 company. Howie is a well regarded AI voice in Silicon Valley with more than 10 years of AI contributions to the industry. Before Howie held executive leadership roles at Palo Alto Networks, Zscaler, Cisco, and VMware. He is also an active investor, board member, and guest lecturer at Stanford University in Silicon Valley. So, without any further delay, let's go and talk to Howie and learn from his insights. Hello, Howie. Welcome to our show. How are you doing today?
Good. Hi, Faisal. Hi, everyone.
Great. So, Howie, based on your decade long AI experience in the industry, can you share your perspective on why should we be excited about GenAI? What are some of the killer use cases that can change the world?
Well, why we are excited about AI? We should be excited about AI for decades already. It's just very recently we made the progress so that it's a lot more feasible. It's a lot more real today. Why is that? With Gen AI, because this we have proved as industry that this pre-training model works. Before it's like, hey, give me the data, I will train the model. Here's the classification, recommendation results. Let me actually evaluate. It's not like we don't need to do this, and we still need to do this in the generative AI. However, the foundation model, lift the model to a degree that you don't start from zero. You don't, there are, for instance, sentiment analysis. You can just use a prompt engineering to accomplish a lot of the sentiment analysis. You don't have to, classify the data, training the data from scratch. So from my point of view, we should be excited about generative AI because one, the foundation model works. And the second thing I think we should be excited. We're not quite there today, but this multimodality should work, right? Any text, audio, video, the output should be any of the text, audio, video. Today we have a little bit hybrid mode. Transformer model is not quite exactly that, but we are getting there. Now, what's use case? The use case is really everywhere. Customer support is a very typical is a support knowledge retrieval for people internal and for external people. That's a very, very typical use case. A lot of people are using that, right? That's one. The second thing is the code generation. The GitHub Copilot, but there are gazillion number of startups or other companies doing the code generation. I would say the biggest success falls into these two categories for now, right? The support, content retrieval, customer support, that's one category. The other category is the code generation. But honestly, right, we're not limited in these two use cases. The entire back office, right? How the product interact with customers, users. It's more than just customer support. I would argue that we are not quite there in terms of the widespread adoptions, widespread success in all those fronts. But it will take time. Once we get there, it's going to be a very different world. That's why we should be excited about it.
Indeed, there is a lot of excitement about AI, but can you categorize what's underhyped and what's overhyped in the current AI era? What advice you will give to enterprises and investors? What should they be cautious about?
So I work for Gen, right? We have lots of the identity AV products and then many other products. I'm not going to enumerate all of them. 500 million users. I would say all of our users should benefit from the generative AI. Now, what's overhyped and what's underhyped? One thing that's overhyped is, people are saying that every piece of software is going to be rewritten in the near future. That's not happening, right? Because if you think about enterprise software, Salesforce, Workday of the world, it's going to take time for them to. You are talking about a 5-year or 10-year cycle when you have such a paradigm shift, have an architectural shift. Anyone anyone thinks, by the way, me included, a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, when ChatGPT was released, that people thought, including myself, again, that wow, this enterprise stack is going to be totally distributed in the next 2 or 3 years. I think all of us should be disappointed, and it's overhyped. It's going to take longer time. The underhyped thing is just the fundamental implications to everyone, for people in the enterprise and for 500 million users we Gen serve. I don't think people even understand the potential we can make their life better, right? Because with Gen AI, with large language model, with text to audio, text to video, look, we are going to, me as a consumer, how am I doing financial stuff? I actually was talking to a friend the other day. Hey, October 15th, it was a, deadline for some people for the tax, right? Why can't, bots do it for me to do so much work, right? It's just, I believe that 5 or 10 years from now, we are not just going to deal with the same way we deal with tax today, the TurboTax or your accountant. We are going to give them the documents. They are going to, the bots or the generative AI is going to do a lot of the automation for me. So my life is going to be, deal with a lot less the logistics stuff. And then there are many more. So the way we work, the way we live is going to be very different.
So let's talk about some of the recent industry developments. Recently, OpenAI completed their funding round of $6.6 billion. NVIDIA and Microsoft were among the main investors. How do you see this impacting their competitive strength going forward? How do you think their focus will shift or change given this recent investment?
Well, I don't know anything internal within OpenAI, but from external, look, it looks like building the model, training the model is going to be more and more expensive, right? Just a year ago, I remember a year and a half ago, some of the industry experts and I show up on whether interview or whatnot. We were just guessing, hey, how much does it take to train a model? None of us guessed at the time $1 billion to train a model, but looks like we are heading towards that, heading heading towards there, if not already, $1 billion per training per model. So from that point of view, $6 billion is nothing. You only train model a few times, right? And also let's not forget about it. The AI experts are very expensive, right? The cloud, everything, So 6 billion sounds a lot, right? It is a lot, by the way, tremendous. I mean, how many? Let's talk about it. How many high tech companies with market cap more than $6 billion? You can list them all, right? Not a super long list. So raising $6 billion with $100 billion plus valuation, it's just huge. But on the other hand, given the amount of the money they need to train the model, it's nothing. So that's kind of a, in some ways, it's great. In some ways, it's sad. The great is that means that we are making forward progress. Our model is getting better and better. It's a little bit sad because how much money it costs and how much energy it consumes. So that's that. Now, what is the significance of it? I believe that OpenAI will continue to lead, whether by a very large margin or not, we'll see. But they will continue to lead the pack in terms of the advance to the next level, right? The model is not only going to answer some questions, great, but also it is able to do better and better reasoning. That's what the latest O1 model or the strawberry model is about. And I think we are only at the beginning, right? We only saw the beginning. We are able to see the beginning of the scaling law works for the training time. I think scaling law is going to work for the inference time. That's something that we only see a tiny bit. Next 2 years, 3 years is going to be very exciting. I think OpenAI still has a seat at the table. But this space is evolving very fast. Just this morning, one of my coworkers asked me, hey, Howie, can we document some of the different model, pros and the cons, this and that? I said, yeah, let's do it. However, the moment we finish it, things change. Things will change. So that's how fast this space, is moving.
Recently, a federal court issued an antitrust ruling against Google. What do you think will be the implications of that on AI?
Yeah, look, I wouldn't say that's the only reason, but part of the reason that Google invented a transformer model, has gazillion number of talents, but still, relatively behind um, OpenAI, for example, is because it moves slower, partially because of it fears about antitrust. So this antitrust thing came along in the last few months, right? There's a suggestion even to split Google. Whether it's going to happen in the end, who knows? It's too early to call. We went through the same thing with Microsoft back 24 years ago, and eventually Microsoft survived. That being said, Microsoft moved the dog slow in the next 10 years after the judge made all those things. Google is sort of suffered the same thing, right? Even though they are not going to split anytime soon, but they have to be careful, extra careful. So it's not doing Google a good service. I think it's good for the industry. That means that the rest of the smaller, especially smaller guys, right, including OpenAI, Anthropic of the world, they can move fast, get more players to have legitimacy or have more chances to play, not just Google, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, these four guys are big guys. Smaller guys have a chance. So that's good for the industry. At least in Silicon Valley, that's the case.
So, great news for AI, formal recognition to AI research. Uh, John Hopfield and Jeffrey Hinton were awarded with Nobel Prize for their research work in machine learning and artificial neural networks. However, the award was given in physics category, and some people are asking, what's the relation between physics and AI? I wonder what your thoughts are on that.
No relationship whatsoever. No, I'm just kidding. Look, there's some weak relationship, not strong, right? I think everyone, I would have to say, who's not surprised? Name one person. Everyone's surprised. Look, Jeffrey Hinton, and John Hopfield, they did some fundamental work. Some of that contributed or led to the later evolution of the neural networks. There's no question about it. And then their influence, their impact to the AI in general, there's no question about it, right? They deserve any award. The only question is what the Nobel Prize committee credited them for. Like, in the case of Jeffrey Hinton, right? This Boltzmann network. I mean, Boltzmann network is somewhat, maybe you can say related or not, but it's not really a major, major contribution to the neural networks or the transformer or the, AI big, evolution, revolution we are seeing today. So they cite that piece to be the reason, he won the award. But otherwise, right, it's very fair even to say that potentially, possibly without Jeffrey Hinton, we are still going to live in the pre-AI days for the next 20 years. That's very possible. So it's just that the way they credit him, the way they articulate it, I think the articulation is actually weaker than I thought.
Thank you very much, Howie, for joining our show. I'm sure audience learned a lot from your insights.
Thank you, Faisal, and I'm glad to have a chat with you today.
Awesome.